Juliet, thank you for that Bible reading. And good morning to everybody. Welcome again to St. John's, Hoxton. My name's Graham. I'm the vicar. It's great to see you all here today. And today begins a new little sermon series exploring the words and works of Jesus. So for the next 12 weeks or so, all the way up until Christmas, we are going to be listening every week to things that Jesus said and reading accounts of things that Jesus did and thinking about their implications for our own lives. And today we're going to think on this Teams Sunday about what Jesus said about joining his team, about getting involved. Now, we've got some activities, and because it's an all-age worship service, we're going to do this together, and me and Louise and Ruth are all going to share a little bit about joining teams. But I need some help, so could the children come and join me on the rug just down here, and just be really generous with your own age assessment about whether you're a child or not. You know, if you're a 15-year-old here today and you feel like coming and sitting on the rug, then you are so welcome. If you're a 50-year-old and you want to come and sit on the rug, then that's fine. But it'd be really good to have a few people with me. And perhaps actually, if you're some of the youth, you might want to come because you might be able to help some of the kids in a little bit. Parents, do feel free to come and sit as well and join in here. There's going to be a little activity soon for you guys to do. And Ruth's going to introduce it. And you're going to be able to work together in little teams and do something amazing. So you guys have done just the right thing by coming here. You can join me down here at any time. If you're feeling a little excluded by what's going on down here in the zone, then you can just come. So, does anybody here ever play games in the playground where you have teams? Do you ever play games? Could be football, could be netball, could be chase or things like that. What games do you play? What do you play, Phoebe? You play it, where you play chase, and sometimes you have teams, don't you? And you have to divide people up into different teams. Have you ever done that in the playground? Yeah? And do you have sometimes team captains, and the team captains come first, and then they have to pick people? Have you ever done that? Ayola, have you ever done that, where there's been a team captain, and they pick players for their team? Yeah? Has that ever happened? Can I just ask a quick straw poll just to see whether anybody shares my pain? I don't want to be kind of sexist about this, but any men here in their childhood experience being the last person to be picked to play football in the playground? Yeah, there's a few of us. We're going to have prayer ministry again a little later, so if there's some deep inner wounds for that, then we can go. I loved playing football when I was a kid, but I wasn't very good at it. So when I was in the playground, when I was in primary school, maybe, what year are you in? What school year are you in? Year 3. So yeah, when I was maybe year 3, year 4, maybe a little older, maybe year 5. Anyone in year 5? You're in year 5. There would be 2 team captains. And they'd be called out, and they were always the best players, the cleverest, the smartest, the most popular. And they would take it in turns to pick people to be on their team. And you know what? I was almost always the last person to be picked. How do you think that made me feel? Any ideas? Good? It didn't make me feel good. It made me feel sad. Made me feel sad. I think there's a few adult men here as well who are accessing some inner pain just at the moment as well as they feel sad about it. And so teams didn't always feel very good when I was young because they were things that the popular, the smart, the clever, the talented people got to be in, and I didn't think there was really any place for me in a team. But you know, when I got a little bit older, I started playing football with some Christians in my church. And one of the things I loved about playing football with them was they didn't really mind how smart, clever, brilliant, talented. They didn't really mind about your dribbling skills. They just wanted you to be included. And suddenly I really enjoyed playing because I would get picked sooner. And I wasn't always the last person to be chosen. And then I got a little bit better and I started to get into football, and I've really enjoyed it ever since. Do you know, over the summer, there were lots of moves in the football transfer market. I do apologise for all the people who just hate footballing analogies, but there you are. One of the big surprises was Cristiano Ronaldo going back to Manchester United. And football managers are always trying to strengthen their squad. They're always trying to make sure they have enough players to cover every position and to help them get through all the games that they have to play in a season. And some of the top football teams have got loads and loads of football players so that they can have different players playing in different teams. And sometimes they have players that they'll specially have for cup competitions and others for league competitions, and everybody has their place. And in football, in a football team as well, usually you have specialists in different positions as well. But one of the things I love is something that emerged in football around 25 years ago, so called total football. The idea that every player can play in every position and can muck in wherever help is needed, so that there's always enough players to go around and no one gets too tired from playing too many games. Now, Jesus didn't say anything about playing football in the Bible, did he? No, that's definitely not in there in the Bible. But he did say something about being in a team for God's work. We're going to think about one verse in the Bible reading that Juliet read for us today, where Jesus said this. He said, "There are a great many people to harvest, but there are only a few workers to harvest them. God owns the harvest, so pray to God that he will send more workers to help gather his harvest." And another translation, it says, "The harvest is plentiful, the workers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send workers into the harvest field." In other words, Jesus is saying, there is space on my team for all of you. You and you and you and you. We sang about that earlier, didn't we? The big family of God. We're all part of the big family of God. We all are invited to be on Jesus's team. He said he said there's a big harvest of people, and by this he meant there are lots of people in the world who don't know about God's love for them. There are lots of people in the world, maybe in some of your classes, there are people who don't know that God loves them. There are lots of people who need to hear the good news of Jesus. They need to hear the message of his love. And God has said he wants us to be the team that goes and shares that amazing message. But he says there's not quite enough of us to go because there's so many people to reach in the world. And he said we should pray to God that God would call more people and send more people into the harvest field. And so today, this reading struck me as really relevant as part of our Team's Sunday celebration. And thank you, John, for giving a big cheer to all those people who serve here and helping us clap and celebrate it, because there's an amazing number of people in the family of St. John's Hoxton who serve in different ways to make our church life happen, not just for one another, but also for people beyond our walls. The writer Patrick Lencioni says that there are 3 marks of a miserable job. And these are the 3 marks of a miserable job. I don't know whether you might take a little internal inventory and think about wherever you work and wonder how your job feels. But the 3 marks of a miserable job that Patrick Lencioni identifies are these. Number 1, not being noticed. Number 2, not being needed. And number 3, not making a difference, not doing anything significant. And he says that if you're in a job where nobody notices you, where you don't feel needed, where you don't feel you get to make a contribution that's significant, it just feels miserable. And I think it can be the same when we volunteer to serve at church. If we sign up to be on the welcome team or the cafe team or the kids team or whatever rota it might be, and we feel like nobody ever notices us, nobody ever sees us. I don't even know that I'm needed. I got here to serve and it was like all done. There was nothing for me to do. Or you don't feel there's any way to make a significant contribution. There's no way to feed back and make things better. Then we get discouraged and we give up. But on the other hand, when we realize that what we do is noticed, needed, and makes a difference, then it keeps us going in service. So I want to say today, I see you and I need you and I thank you for all that you do. So many of you here who serve in different ways. I think the point about Jesus' words about the harvest and about sending workers into the harvest is to remind us there really is a lot to do. There's a lot of ways we can be involved, and every one of us is needed. Every one of us is seen and noticed by Jesus, and every one of us has a gift, part of our character, our personality, something that we can offer that is significant. We are needed, we can make a difference, we are noticed. And today in our service, we're celebrating the amazing people who have said yes to joining God's team. Hoxton is just a little corner of God's harvest field. And gathering people into God's family here in Hoxton takes all kinds of work and effort. We have worship services to run with musicians and welcome team and cafe team and people who operate the words and the sound desk. We have special groups for kids and youth that meet together and learn about Jesus' love. We have activities running through the week like the food bank or the CAP Centre, the CAP Money courses, the football with young people and asylum seekers. And we do more work with children and youth after school on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And all of these activities need willing people to say yes to God and to join his team. Without the people who serve as volunteers, we wouldn't be able to gather in the harvest that God has set before us in our church family. So I want to say thank you today to every one of you in our church family who has stepped up and said yes to Jesus' invitation. But I also want us to invite us all to think about how we might say yes to Jesus' invitation today. Maybe we could sign up to help on a team, to join in a team. Please be assured that you will be seen and noticed, you will be needed, and you will be able to make a difference. And also we can all pray for God to send more people to help with the work. But perhaps we can also be the answer to our own prayers. We're going to watch a short video in one moment in which members of our church say thank you to everyone who serves on a team, but also they celebrate and share something about the difference that is made to kids and youth by their leaders. And then after that, Louise is going to come and give us a brief testimony about her own experience of meeting God through the people who led her Sunday school when she was a child. And Ruth will then help us think together a little bit about how we all have a part to play in this work. So let's watch the video.
Thank you to all those who serve at St John's on the kids teams, the youth teams, the cafe teams, the welcome teams, the pastoral teams, the preaching and leadership teams, committees. Thank you for making everything that we do at St John's possible.
I guess they're funny, they're cool, they're hip and trendy, I guess.
I think that they're nice.
I really like how fun they are and how inclusive, and that they like to play different games with us, and that we are able to express ourselves without them judging us.
It's fun and there's lots of activities always going on.
Nice. They're friendly, they're kind, and I feel like I could talk to them when I have issues.
Something that I like about my group leaders is that they're always willing to help you and make you feel comfortable whenever you need something or whenever you're upset.
I learned that, I guess, he has a way for everything, and everything he does is carefully planned out, and I think that the leaders really help get that message across very well and very clearly for people to understand.
Oh well, I mainly learned through the alpha videos.
That I'm not alone, and that even though things are really, really hard, then I still have God with me, especially through Alpha.
I've learned that God he's always there to help. He guides us through life, and that anytime I need him, I can call upon him to help me.
That we have learned about Jesus and God is that all of us aren't a mistake nor an accident, and that we were all born and have a purpose to be on this world, and we're part of Jesus and God's creation.
What I've learned about God is that he forgives everyone, from our backgrounds and differences, from our hairstyles and different bases. He forgives all of us.
What I learned about God is that we love God and he loves us.
Learned from God is that God has given us freedom and that he really cares about us. Also like Jesus, about him protecting us and talk about us being sins and
Well, I really appreciate it because I used to do that, and sometimes it always found it hard to get people help. But now, there's a great team for people help, and appreciate it very much. I love their heart.
Thank you to everyone who serves on a team at St John's Hoxton. It's wonderful to have become part of a church where so many members are willing to give up their time to make a contribution to the life of the church and also to the wider community around St John's.
Hello, I really appreciate the great job you do here. Well done.
I really appreciate that they actually get up early and be committed to be here before I need to be here.
I just want to say a big thank you to all the teams at St John's. You all do a wonderful job in ensuring the smooth running of St John's in many different areas, and I really appreciate the work that you all do.
Over the years, I've worked with so many teams in church at St John's Hoxton here, and they're all great. Without each and every one of them, St John's Hoxton would not be who it is today in the community. The St John's youth team, run by David and John. Thanks, guys. You guys have done a marvelous job with our youth here, dealing with them spiritually, getting them ready for everyday life and all the sorts. Thanks, you're a blessing. Thanks to each and every other team that's involved in church here that I haven't mentioned by name. God bless you all.
Is this on? Great. Wow, I feel quite emotional watching that. Actually, I've got to know some of the children and the young people over the last few weeks that I've been here, and they are truly amazing to hear them say what they've learnt about God and how much actually they love what you provide for them as a church family is inspiring. I have some props which you can see that it will become clear very soon what this is all about, and maybe you can help me with this. So I've been asked just to talk a little bit about my experience of how people blessed me. I grew up in the South Wales valleys, and if you pay me enough, maybe I will do my Welsh accent for you later, because it can be very strong when put on. I grew up in the Welsh valleys, not in a family of faith at all, except that my parents, we didn't really have very much money. My parents worked a lot in order to provide for our family. My parents sent me to Sunday school at a little Baptist chapel on a Sunday afternoon. And I grew up in that era where I was probably about 6 years old. So about the age of some of you, actually, when I used to walk on my own with my friends all the way to the Baptist chapel on a Sunday afternoon. You just never do that these days. 6. I'd walk with a little group, there were maybe 3 or 4 of us, to the Baptist chapel where Uncle Brian and Auntie Joyce would be waiting for us. Now, they weren't relatives. We knew them as Uncle Brian and Auntie Joyce because they were there waiting for us at the front door of the church every Sunday afternoon. They seemed really, really old to me, but actually they were probably in their 40s. They seemed ancient to a 6-year-old, but every Sunday they would be waiting for us at the door. And I distinctly remember my very first memory actually of church is being sat at the back of the church in a pew, learning all about Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem. We had palm leaves that we were given. So each of us were given a palm leaf. Who would like to come and wave a palm leaf for me? Anybody? Phoebe, there you go. Anybody else? You can wave. Anybody? I've got one more, so you might have to share it. Thank you. So there was I and my friends. We stood at the back of church. We were waving our palm leaves. Can you wave your palm leaves? Brilliant. Waving our palm leaves. I'm not going to ask you to do this bit. We started at the back and we marched all the way around the church, up the stairs in the Welsh chapel. You had big stairs to the pulpit, up the stairs, across the stage, down the other stairs, and right round. And that is my first memory of church, is Auntie Joyce and Uncle Brian waiting for us at the front door and marching round the church with a palm leaf. That's brilliant. Can you sit down with your palm leaves now? Brilliant. Often with memories, our first memories, we don't remember all the details, but we do remember how we feel. And I can remember at 6 years old feeling some of what you've already mentioned, Graham. I remember feeling welcome. I remember feeling noticed. Uncle Brian and Auntie Joyce knew my name. And I remember feeling that Jesus loved me. And that was because of two individuals that gave up their time on a Sunday afternoon to teach a little ragtag of sort of Welsh ruffians. We used to just turn up. And so what I would love to do today is to encourage you in that I might not even be here if it wasn't for those two faithful people of God that invested their time in the children in that South Wales Valley. There are children here that may not have been here if it wasn't for the input of our children's workers and our youth workers. I eventually started to follow God properly when I was 17. So I would encourage everybody today to think about how you can contribute to the family of God. What small part you can play in whichever team you feel like you can contribute to. As Ruth is coming to talk to us now, there will be clipboards that are circulating that have different teams in the church that need people. We need each other to create a family. And so really think about what you can contribute to the lives of these amazing children and to the lives of each other. Thanks. Ruth. Oh, you've got one. I'll put it away.
Hi, everybody. So, as Louise says, while the clipboards are going round, there's an activity for the children to do, but there's not that many children on the carpet at the moment, and I've actually got 10 of these activities that you're going to do in little groups. So if there's any more kids who want to come down and have a go, yeah? Who likes doing jigsaw puzzles? Anybody like doing jigsaw puzzles? Yeah? So in my envelope, there is a jigsaw puzzle. And you have to put it together to work out what it says. And once we've done that, once everyone's found it, we're going to put it up on the screen and we're just going to talk about it for like 2 minutes at the end. So while the clipboard's going round, if the kids, can you get into maybe groups of 2 or 3? If there's any more hanging around in the pews, just come and join us. And we're going to do this together. Right, I think that most of the people on the carpet have managed to put the jigsaw together. Does anyone want to read out for us what the Bible verse says? Do you want to read it for us, Jasmine?
You are the body of Christ, and each one of you is a part of it.
Great, fantastic. We should have that to have on the screen as well. So we've got a body, and it says, you are the body of Christ, and each one of you is a part of it. And that's from 1 Corinthians 12. And we just wanted to do that to basically remind us of what we've already heard, to remind us that each of us have a part to play. So particularly for the children, they might be sitting here thinking, well, I can't be on a team like the grown-ups can be. I can't go and serve the coffee, or I can't go and do the sound, or I can't come into the front and lead the service, although you can if you're a bit older. So we just wanted to finish with this verse to remind us that actually everybody has a part to play, however young you are, however old you are, whatever abilities you think you've got or you think you don't have, whatever your gifts are, everyone has a part to play. And perhaps for some of you younger children, your part to play might be making people smile, or being a good friend when there's somebody new, or being someone who loves to worship. I see some of you, the way that you sing and you dance on a Sunday, it really leads the rest of us in worship. And for all of us, we all have a part to play. So just have a think as we finish. What are your gifts? What are your passions? What do you love doing? What would you love to be involved with? And let's remember that no matter how old we are, no matter how young we are, we each have a part to play, and we're each part of God's family.